So yes, so let's move into creating the next part of our fence. So we're going to learn something called what's called a modifier, and in Blender modifiers are really useful for modeling repeating things or making non-destructive non-destructive modifications to our object. And what do I mean by non-destructive? So non-destructive is essentially a way of creating something without destroying the underlying base geometry, for example. So I'll show you what a destructive thing might be. Let's say we moved this vert over here, and then we saved this. We wouldn't be able to undo that. Would be and then we saved it. Sorry, and then we closed the program and opened it up again. That step of moving that vertex would no longer be saved in the undo history, so we wouldn't be able to go back easily to the previous position of that vertex. So that would have been a destructive means of doing it. Now another example of this is, well, if we let's open up our modifiers tab. So if we come over here to this panel on our right here, let's just move it over a bit. This little tab here is called the modifiers, object modifiers tab. So we're going to click on the little spanner, and this will bring up this window here, and you'll see we've got this option to add a modifier. And what this will allow us to do, as I said, is non-destructively make modifications to our asset here. So what you do is you select the object you want to make a modification to, you click on this drop down menu, and you see all these options come up. Now what we're going to be looking at is the array option. And what an array does is it will essentially create a duplicate of our mesh, but we can define how many we want and roughly tell it where we want it to offset the duplicate. So let's first take the count down to 1, so we can't see where we're going at the minute. We'll set this to 0 for now, and we'll bring the count back up to 2, and then these values here determine the different axes. So we've got the X, Y and Z. So if we want to basically duplicate this fence panel along the Y, so if we start putting this value up, you can see the second, because we've got 2, the second duplicate start to adjust along this Y axis. Now what I mean by non-destructive is until I hit apply, this duplicate doesn't actually exist technically. So I'll just show you. If I go into edit mode, you can see I haven't got access to the vertices because this is a superficial duplicate of our object here. So if I move this vertice, for example, let's turn snapping off down here. If I move this vertice, for example, you can see how that's making changes to our superficial duplicate in the array modifier. And what I can do is I can bring this count up even more, and this will determine how many fence panels we want. And then on the fly we can adjust the value of where these offset on the y-axis. Now you can click any option box in Blender is actually clickable, and we can type in an exact value if we want, and we can make adjustments as we go.